What's up, horse racing fans? Welcome to another episode of the Inside Post. This episode will be a special episode as we have racing on Memorial Day weekend at Santa Anita Park. And as always on Memorial Day, we take the time to remember those that have fought for our country that are no longer with us or that did not make it home. So we have three grade one stakes races on the Monday card for Santa Anita that we will be handicapping and giving you our best bets. We have the Gamely, um, a mile and an eighth on the turf, the Shoemaker Mile, 1 mile on the turf, and the Hollywood Gold Cup going a mile and a quarter on the dirt. We get the return from Saudi and the UAE Dubai Derby or the Dubai World Cup of Country Grammar. And we have Defunded stepping back in here as well to make for a pretty good uh, Hollywood Gold Cup between those two. Some other good races on the card as well. So make sure to check out down below to get all of the racing betting or the whole betting card that we have provided for you, giving you our structure on our pick four and pick five tickets as well. And also hit that like button. Give us a subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the Belmont Stakes. I believe we only need like 220 more people to subscribe. So keep supporting, keep subscribing, and let us hit that mark before the Belmont Stakes. So we'll kick things off with the Gamely Stakes, grade one stakes race, 4 fillies and mares going a mile and an eighth on the Santa Anita turf. This will be for 3-year-olds and up. A pretty good betting race. Um, Only 7 entrants in here, but for the fact that there is some quality horses, makes this a possibility for a wide open type race. Um, on top, we are going to use Queen Goddess. I believe there's 2 other horses in here that are really, really good. Um, but I feel like Queen Goddess right now is in pretty good form outside of that last outing in the Jenny Wiley. Um, was beaten. I mean, she finished 6th in there in Italian, I believe was just too much for her that day. I mean, there was a couple other horses that finished ahead of her. Um, so hopefully that was just like a toss race because the horse had been doing really well um, coming into the Jenny Wiley, and I believe was like second or third betting option in there, but just really had nothing, no ability to gain once she hit the stretch, or she was passed basically in the stretch and kind of ran out of energy. I do think getting Luis Saez aboard on her will help in here, as it seems to be this horse needs the early speed or to be on the pace, and I think he will set that up for her. And then I feel like everybody else is kind of going to have to play catch up or hopefully not be able to catch her and pass her in the stretch. Mike McCarthy is hitting at a pretty good rate right now, 20%, I believe. She has the best speed among some of these other horses in here, um, and seems to be one that you can just not look at that last race, and she's finished first or second in the last 4. Um, Beating out some of the other competition in here, such as Closing Remarks and the Quattro horse, if that's how you say it. So kind of why we're using her as the top pick. She's ran in some of the class. She's coming out of that Jenny Wiley, which again, we're kind of just not looking at it. Hopefully it was just a bad race. Um, where some of the other horses had a lot of pace to run into. Second, we are going with that Quattrell as our second pick. The horse was beat out by what would be our third pick in the Wilshire Grade 3 at Santa Anita going a mile. So they're going to go a little bit further in here. But the horse has hit the board in every 7 starts in her last 7 starts. In 2023, she's got 2 wins so far, posting a 94 speed figure that last time out, finishing second. And I I believe she kinda stumbled coming out of the gate or had a bad stumble coming out of the gate in that race. I don't think that affected her. She was still able to kind of close in, um, on the leaders, but I think she kind of ran out of room. So I think a little bit extra here, she should be able to have a pretty good pace to run into. And that's kind of why we're using her as our second pick to possibly run up with our top one. And Macadamia, we're using this horse just because it's beat out some of the other ones in here, such as Closing Remarks and the Quattrell horse. Seems to be in really good form right now. Speed figures have been improving. Um, Coming into her last two graded stakes races, both at Santa Anita, has improved her speed. So this one, I think, is going to take another step forward, and definitely going to be one that we are going to keep on our pick four, pick five tickets, just because I feel like this horse keeps improving. The only reason we did not use it as our top pick or even our second pick, I just feel like Quattrell came out of that last race with a bad start and almost, if you look at it, kind of ran out of distance. I mean, I know we're only going a little bit further than a mile here, um, but these two are coming from a grade three stakes races where Queen Goddess is coming out of a grade one. She gets back in here, or these other ones are stepping up in class. She's kind of maintaining. I think that's why I'm sticking with Queen's Goddess. Another interesting one. Um, I feel like this one's going to be another one that's the odds are not going to be as great. It's going to be Closing Remarks. But if you go back and look, going a mile and an eighth, this horse did really well. It's done really well at a mile as well. But another one that's coming out of that Wilshire grade three with Macadamia and Quattrell finished fourth in there. So that's kind of why we put this one on the outside, kind of looking in as our other pick. If you have a deeper ticket structure that you would like to use, Closing Remarks is interesting just because it was the beaten favorite last time out. Um, has pretty good average speed on the turf compared to some of these other horses. I just think it's kind of regressing a little bit. Um, and it's kind of been beat out by Queen's Goddess, Quattrell, and obviously the Quattrell Macadamia last time out. So it's going to have to take a big, not necessarily a bigger step forward. Just interesting to see what this horse does. If it's going to sit way off the pace or if it's going to sit closer to the pace. Gets the same jockey aboard here, but I feel like it's going to have to use some other type of strategy. Um, a long shot play in here that's kind of, I believe, coming from Ireland, that's raced over in the European circuit is Verreggio, and Bruto Rispoli and Brendan Walsh. Brendan Walsh is training horses really well right now. Um, does come out of a win at Keeneland, which was just an allowance of non-winners of three. So comes straight into this grade stakes races. Always got to take into account these European shippers when they come in. Um, Especially since she's came in and already have won one race. Now she's getting her second start over here. And it's going to be interesting to see. Has a pretty good workout, and could play spoiler to some of these other horses, especially if they don't know. Um, the running style looks to be mid pack, um, or pressing the pace. I think it has it marked as a closing speed as well. But just for some reason when they come over here, and run on this turf, it seems like it makes the horses a little bit faster. So definitely one that we may throw in here. I know there's seven horses and we're using five of them or talking about five of them. But if you want to structure your ticket to make some money, Verreggio could be interesting to use with Queen Goddess and possibly Quancherel or Macadamia. But as we said, all of our ticket structure will be down below. So just go and check that out. Check out the blog. Subscribe to it as well, just so that way you get them sent directly to your email when we post our betting blogs. Next, we have a mile again on the turf. We're going the Shoemaker Mile. This one is for 3-year-olds and up. Another pretty good betting race for the aspect. I think there was 10 horses, 11 horses in this one. So again, the turf seems to be where the value could be. um, in this kind of middle pieced card on their Memorial Day weekend. So we're using our top pick, Exalted. Um, the horse really has been flashy in its last 3 starts, 3 wins coming out of that American Grade 3 stakes race at Santa Anita, going a mile on the turf. Um, did it pressing the pace in there and kind of was easily pulled away in the stretch, um, and then cleared once it was coming to the wire. So in really good form, has been odds on, unfortunately, in those last 2 races, coming out of an allowance and an optional claiming race, steps into the American, wins it pretty easily, and then comes right in here to this grade 1 Shoemaker Mile. I think the horse has close to the highest speeds, um, out of any of these contingents in here, and I think that's kind of where this horse will be. Um, Unfortunately, it probably will be close to the favorite. As you can see, our early past performances here we are on Friday, Saturday, handicapping this. We don't have any odds as of yet, but it's been the odds-on favorite the past 2 starts. So that's probably where this horse will end up as possible 8 to 5 um, once these odds have been posted. Second, we're going with De Jour. This horse did run in the American last time out, finished fourth in there. And I believe what happened was it was bumped, as you could see, when it ran in the kill row, grade 1 back in March. It was bumped at the start, and finished second in there. So definitely had to rally from behind in that race. So that was interesting. Um, we forgot to highlight it in here. But then it comes back in as the favorite as well in that American. Like I said, it was kind of right there with Exalted, as like I think it was probably 8 to 5 or less than that, 6 to 5. Again, I believe it was bumped, going 3 or 4 wide at the start of the race. Um, and that kind of not necessarily pinched the horse in, but it caused some problems early on for De Jour. So Bob Baffert gets Luis Saez in here, and as we all know, Luis Saez is a hell of a gate rider. He knows how to get horses out of the gate and into good position. So that's kind of an angle that we're using in here of why we're putting De Jour on top, or kind of using De Jour in here as well with that Luis Saez getting the mount in here because he's getting a lot of mounts on this card today. So we'll see if he has a big day. Um, but I think, Beaten last time out, has some of the speeds that are comparable to Exalted, um, and posted a really good workout on the 22nd and the 15th in preps for this race. So has been working out really, really good um, since that American. So I feel like this one's getting better or getting back to kind of what it was back in 2021. I know that's a long time ago, when the horse won the American Turf at Churchill Downs, which was a Grade 2 stakes race in there. So I think this horse, Bob has this one going in the right direction. I know it's on the grass, and we usually don't hear about Bob Baffert winning grass races. Um, but interesting enough, I feel like this horse is trending in the right direction. Next, Hong Kong Harry, for Philip D'Amato and Flavion Pratt. Coming out of the Turf Classic at Churchill Downs, finished second in there, was beaten by Up to the Mark, and placed ahead of Spooky Channel. Does come out of that kill row as well, that De Jour comes out of, and Capo Spirit and Gold Phoenix, who's also in here, and finished fourth and was beaten favorite in there. Has ran in slew of other grade 2 stakes races, the Seabiscuit, the Delmar Mile, the Ed Reed, the American again. This was last year at Santa Anita as well. So the biggest thing, I guess, would be, Phil D'Amato is at 24% right now training. Posted a pretty good workout, comparable to De Jour, how he's been training on May 22nd. Finished second in that Turf Classic. I don't think there's anything up to that competition in here. I just don't know if this horse is trending in that right direction. Since it's came out of those 2 wins, the Seabiscuit and the Delmar Mile, it's had a fourth in the Kill Row and then a second in the Turf Classic. Um, but I feel like this horse is going to be thereabouts, has the high prime power if you're that kind of angle person um, in here, and probably one you almost have to use on a ticket just because The horse checks all the boxes for speed, for pedigree, um, and definitely for class. And our long shot pick, we're going far outside with Salesman. Again, we're going with the Euro shipper coming in, getting its first start on, um, I guess, the American turf, if you would, with Vasquez and Richard Mandela. Both have been doing really well on the training and jockey aspect. Gets blinkers for the first time today, I believe, or it's hard to judge if it had blinkers in the Europe races. Just I don't think they marked that on theirs or that we have been able to see. Had a pretty good workout. Again, May 22nd was on par. It went 6 furlongs, so it's kind of hard to judge if it was faster or looked better. But I mean, it was a good workout that they put in, and that they've noted here on the Brisnet PPs. Um, 5-1-3 in 2022, so gets its first start in 2023 off an 11-month layoff. So that's good side, bad side. We're gonna see what that does for the horse. Obviously, shipping in, and if it's putting in some good workouts, I'm really not worried about it. As far as it's in good form, it's in good shape, it's able to um, remember what to do after that big time layoff. Um, so this one should be a pretty good price. That's why we're kind of putting it in here in hopes for it to be 15 to 1 in that area, to kind of round out some trifectas or even use it in an exacta wager. All right. Race 8, I guess you could say this would be the highlight of the card, going 1.25 miles on the dirt for 3-year-olds and up. This is where we have the return of Country Grammar from his Dubai Maidan race of the Dubai World Cup and the Saudi Cup. Um, so obviously, it's probably a 2-horse race between him and Defunded. Um, Last time Country Grammar was in the States in the Awesome again at Santa Anita, the Grade 1 stake race there. Defunded did beat him. Um, and then the horse goes one race, and then he quickly goes overseas to the Saudi Cup, finishes second, and then to the Dubai World Cup. So obviously, he's not going to have the class that he's had in those two races. I guess you could say he was kind of an upset in the Dubai World Cup and probably in the Saudi Cup, because I feel like he was close to the betting favorite in there and was upset by the Panthlassa um, horse. He does get Flavion Pratt aboard, and Flavion has rode this horse, funny enough, in Saudi last year, and again was beating second in there as well. So comes in off of that layoff from being overseas. Comes in with some pretty good workouts that he looks to be getting back into shape. Um, his not necessarily early running style, but he's going to be right up there pressing the pace, or sitting just off the pace. I think will help him in here. Um, his speed is pretty much the top of the field right now, with Defunded on the outside of him. But I feel like he's getting back home, and I think he's going to run a big race. And of course, the horse that we think can beat him, that we kind of tossed back and forth who we were going to use on top, Country Grammar, Defunded. Defunded obviously is our second pick. Juan Hernandez, Bob Baffert trains this one as well. Has been running in the States, coming out of that grade 2 California, posted 100 speed figures in his past 2 starts. So he seems to be one that's maintaining that speed, and probably has the higher speed rating over Country Grammar right now, just because it's kind of hard to tell what his speed rating was when he was overseas. Um, the I guess trainer jockey combo is hitting at a pretty good percent right now. They in 14 days, I think they have 3 wins. Um, Looking at that California, he beat out Royal Ship, who was I thought was supposed to be in here, but is not in here. And like I said, he did beat out Country Grammar, but this was back in October. So again, both horses kind of went different directions. Um, Country Grammar going overseas, defunded, staying here basically, finished second in the Pacific West, or the Pacific Classic, sorry, um, or the Pegasus, holy cow, Pegasus World Cup at Gulfstream Park, then comes back to a grade one at Santa Anita handicap, and then the California. So, I mean, he's hit the board in his last five, six starts, finishing first or second. Um, he does not come off a layoff like Country Grammar, um, and his workouts have not been as impressive as Country Grammar, but the horse is already in great form. So I think that's the big question. You know, we haven't seen Country Grammar. What's he going to do coming off of those big Euro races? Um, so I think this. I mean, it could be an easy exacta with defunded Country Grammar, but is the value going to be there? Is the big thing. Senor Buscador will be our third pick. Of course, this horse probably won't get much attention. Should float up to probably 8-1 in that area. Um, Interesting enough, again, we talked about Luis Saez coming out here and getting some mounts. This horse is shipping in from Oaklawn Park, coming out of that Oaklawn handicap, a grade two handicap. So definitely stepping up in class. Has ran at um, Keeneland in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile on Breeders' Cup. The Champion Series race finished eighth in there, just had nothing, absolutely nothing in there. But the speed figures in the past two races have been almost higher than Defunded and Country Grammars. So it seems to be a horse that's looking like it's going in the right direction. It's just going to look, and it looks, of course, into this Hollywood Gold Cup, and it's just a tough task. But interesting enough, I kind of like that Luis Saez getting the mount here. Try to change things up a little bit for Senor Buscador. Um, you know, if it plays spoiler, it will be probably the biggest upset on the weekend. But even if this horse runs second to one of these other two, I mean, the connections have to be thrilled with running second to Country Grammar or Defunded just because of the class of those two horses. Probably going to leave this one off of our pick four and pick five. We're probably going to stick with those top two, but we're definitely going to use him for maybe a exacta trifecta wagering, depending on what his odds are. We did not pick a long shot in here. I think Kiss Today Goodbye was a long shot that we were looking at. Um, but it's kind of just a tough one. There's really nobody that has speed or nobody that's really sticking out. Paroli was interesting, but he's coming out of an optional claimer. Who else do we have? Yes, this time another one coming out of an $80,000 optional. And that's about it. I mean, it's a small field, six horses. Nobody really wants to run against these two, making it kind of on the aspect of outside those two, really a tough betting race. Um, but that's kind of what it is when you have two top horses that are in training right now, entered in for a big grade one stakes race. So there's our picks for those top three grade ones at Santa Anita for Memorial Day. Let us know down in the comments who you think is a lock for the weekend. We will also be doing the winning colors for Churchill Downs graded stakes race on Memorial Day as well. And then go back and check out our early Belmont Stakes preview where we give you our hint of who our top pick could be for the Belmont Stakes. Again, we thank you for watching. Make sure to hit that like button and get us to 1,000 subscribers by hitting that subscribe button, sharing this video to all your friends, and make sure to check out in the link down below for the full betting guide to see how we are structuring our tickets for the day's racing. Thanks.